What kind of graph would 4b make if you graphed it? It's a parabola shifted. Which way? How far? No. X squared minus 6 would be a parabola shifted down 6. Okay? That's what it would look like. If you didn't know that, you need to go back and redo all of Unit 4 before the exam next 2 weeks from now. All right? That's a parabola shifted down 6. So its vertex is at 0, negative 6. If you knew that, great. You understand parabolas. If you flipped that thing, not flipped it upside down, but flipped it over this line. Woohoo. When we reflected graphs over that line y equals x, that's a way to find its inverse. Finding inverses by hand involves this. 0, negative 6 would flip to negative 6, 0. Right? Every point would flip its x and y coordinates. So it would end up looking like this. And what would be the problem with that red wanna be a function? It's not a function. So when you flip a function that doesn't pass the horizontal line test, the result will be a graph that doesn't pass the vertical line test. So that's the problem with the red graph. It doesn't pass the vertical line test. So we can't proceed with this problem unless we only graph half the, whoa, I need an eraser. We only graph half the original function so that the result will only be half of its inverse. So what we're going to do is we're only going to look at the right half of this, so the inverse will only be the top half of that. So before you begin, you need to say, I can only do this if x is greater than or equal to 0. Then you can proceed. All right? That's just a little technicality before you proceed with finding the inverse. You restrict its domain. Now, to find the domain, you switch f of x and replace it with y. Then x and y do what? They flip. They trade places. Say it with me. They swap. They trade places. All right? X goes in y's position. Y goes in x's position. So we need to switch x and y, solve for y, and then change it to that little f with a negative 1. What do you call that? F inverse of x, or f of x inverse. All right? So say it with me. Switch x and y. Nice. Solve for y. And then replace y with the f inverse. Okay, so I already switched x and y. Now I'm going to solve for y. What do you do to both sides? That's correct. Then what? You square root both sides. The whole thing. The square root of x plus 6. Did I solve for y? Yes. Now replace y with f inverse, and you're done. Notice the result is the square root of x plus 6, which would be a square root function shifted left. Oh, that's bad counting. Left, how many? 6. That's the square root function shifted left 6. And it is the mirror image of the black function going to the right. The inverse is the green function. Okay. That's it. You know what?